Now, on a lighter note, it's time for our Entre Nous segment, and today we are telling you about the Greater Paris Travel Guide. That's right. The book doesn't tell you what to visit in the French capital, but rather what you can see around it. And we can now bring in Julia Dartois, publisher of the Greater Paris Guide. Great to have you here on the program today. How did the idea for this guide come about, given that most people would come to visit Paris and not generally want to see what's around?
When we started the project in 2018, the Greater Paris didn't mean anything to anybody. Actually, it was something related to administration or politics or public transportation, but it didn't have any reality. And we wanted to change that. So that's why we created a touristic guide for the Greater Paris with an independent media called Enlarge Your Paris.
So how does it work in terms of, like, if somebody is coming to Paris, how do you tell them to go to the outside of the city? Do you tell them, should they rent a car? Should they use public transport? How do they do it?
Yeah, absolutely. Access is really one of the biggest strengths of the Greater Paris guide. With the Navigo Pass, you can go everywhere. You can go by train, you can go by RER, you can go by metro. So it's very easy to access, and each address has information and practical information to know how to access the spot.
So with different spots, you're talking about what to visit, what to eat, where to sleep. What are you talking about?
Yeah, the third edition has a sporty twist. So we have a dedicated address for outdoor activities and sports.
Because of the Olympics?
Because of the Olympics, exactly. And of course, you find address about culture, nature, about outdoor activities, where to sleep, where to eat, and also what activities you can do in family.
So what is the furthest spot outside of Paris you have here?
It goes very, very, very far.
How far is the Greater Paris region? Tell us.
Now, for instance, you can go to the Haute Vallée de Chevreuse. It's crazy because you feel like you're in the fields. So there are forests, there are village. It's about 1 hour and a half from Paris.
Not that far.
That's far. But you can still go during your weekend, for instance, and you don't feel you're in Paris anymore.
Okay. And so tell me, what is your favorite thing to do here?
My favorite spot is the Canal de l'Ourcq. So it's a very nice walk, for instance, to do during your Sundays. And there are a lot of beautiful spots, cultural spots along the canal. And for instance, the Magasins Généraux, that is a place to see contemporary art exhibitions. So you can stop by, visit an exhibition, and then start your journey again along the Canal de l'Ourcq.
And what sort of budgets should people have when they're looking for a weekend?
It's quite affordable. All the activities, they were accessible in terms of transportation, what we talked about, and also in terms of price. So we really paid attention to suggest activities that are affordable for people, because the guide is really for people to use it, and a very practical guide. So yeah, we paid attention to the price.
And the guide I have here in my hand is in English. Was that a conscious effort to make sure that the guide was also translated into English?
Yeah, absolutely, because we also want to talk to tourists, international tourists. And now tourists, most of the time, it's not their first time in Paris, and they want something more authentic. They want to discover something else than the Eiffel Tower or the Musée du Louvre. So that's why we wanted to translate the guide. So it's a tool to discover the Greater Paris for also international tourists.
And how many languages is the guide in?
Only
English and French?
Yeah, only English and French for now.
If you could give me your top 3 recommendations for like a quick weekend trip, what would it be?
I talked about the Canal de l'Ourcq, which is a very nice place.
Because we have the Canal de l'Ourcq in Paris, right?
Paris,
so it extends all the way down.
It goes further, actually. You can go very far with the Canal de l'Ourcq, so you're leaving Paris.
I just been to the one around Paris.
It's from Paris, but it's mainly from Pantin, so yeah. You travel a bit further than Paris. You have the Haute Vallée de Chevreuse, where you can find forests and villages. It's very bucolic. And in the Fontainebleau forest, you can do a very funny activity that is dog sledding.
Dog sledding?
Yeah. Without snow, actually, but it's a musher, so the guy who drives dog sledding, who suggests this activity in the Fontainebleau forest. So if you want to have fun and have an adventure during your weekends, you can try that.
I like Fontainebleau, and what I really like around Fontainebleau, which not many people in Paris know about, is Barbizon.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about Barbizon?
by its artists, of course. So yeah, it's a very nice place to discover also during weekends, and it's true that only a few locals know about it. So you will find many addresses about that on the guide.
And you said right now the guide is just in English and in French. Are there plans to publish it in different languages?
For now, we are not planning to publish in other languages, but for instance, the first edition was only in French, so there are many developments around the guide. So yeah, maybe we can imagine another language in the future.
What I like about the guide is it's split up into, sport, culture, lifestyle, outdoors, where to eat, where to sleep.
Yeah,
etc.
exactly.
But do you have a presence on social media? Is that something you'd be looking
Yeah,
at?
absolutely. For the third edition, we launched the website of the guide and also the social networks. So we are on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn, we're on TikTok, and it works. There is a lot of enthusiasm around the project on the social media. So yeah, you can follow us on our social media.
I definitely will. Julia Dartois, thank you so much for coming in and speaking
Thank
to
you
us
for having me.
here on Entre Nous.